An unprecedented and mysterious movement is currently being analyzed by military experts. A United States Air Force plane has been conducting shadow flights from the Polish airport of Rzeszów, near the Ukrainian border, to the United States Air Base in Ramstein, Germany. The cargo, initially a mystery, has now been revealed, and the truth is truly surprising. What is being transported? What is Donald Trump so desperately pulling out of Ukraine? Could this unsettling movement be related to an attempt to remove evidence of war crimes and Washington's involvement? Rzeszów Airport, located just 80 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, has become the epicenter of a mystery that has captured the attention of military analysts, politicians, and international media. After the United States announced its refusal to provide more military aid to Ukraine, the only United States Air Force plane continues to fly surprisingly close to Rzeszów Airport, Poland's main logistics hub for military supplies to Ukraine. Several analysts suggest that the main purpose of these secret flights is supposedly to transport none other than high-ranking United States officials stationed in Ukraine, including generals and ministers. But is this really the case, or is there more to it? On March 5th, reports indicated that the United States had rejected military flights en masse. Multiple flights carrying weapons to Ukraine via key logistical routes near its western border were turned away. Experts also noted that the activity of United States military transport planes at Rzeszów Airport significantly decreased from early March. For instance, on March 1st, there were 0 flights from the United States, with only 1 transport from the Royal Canadian Air Force. On March 2nd, no flights were recorded from Washington, with only a transport from the Royal Air Force of the United Kingdom. On March 3rd, there was a single flight from the United States Air Base in Dover. On March 4th, the day the military aid suspension was announced, there was just 1 flight from the United States Air Force from Ramstein Air Base in Germany. On March 5th, there were 0 flights from the United States and only 1 transport from the Royal Canadian Air Force. However, on March 6th, an unusual movement was observed. Military experts pointed out an interesting detail related to Trump's decision to halt arms supplies to Ukraine. To better understand the situation, after the decision was made to suspend aerial military aid shipments, United States military transport planes stopped appearing not only in Rzeszów, but also in neighboring airports, such as Krakow, Katowice, Lublin, Olsztyn. Between March 3rd and 4th, no military transport landings were recorded in Warsaw either. The only suspicious flight arrived in Rzeszów on March 6th, identified as LX7532, operated by the Belgian subsidiary of the Israeli cargo airline Challenge Airlines. It remains unclear what mysterious cargo the Boeing 747-400 was carrying to Poland, but the flight originated directly from Toronto, Canada. Under normal circumstances, one might assume the flight was for humanitarian or technical purposes, but doubts persist. While it is possible that the Canadians are trying to diversify their own flights, there is no direct evidence of this so far. Finally, on March 8th, analysts from Military Chronicle released a report indicating that for the 2nd consecutive day, a US Air Force C-2A transport plane had been actively flying between Rzeszów and the US Air Base in Ramstein, Germany. It is unlikely that the aircraft is transporting military cargo, but an emergency evacuation from Ukraine is entirely possible, considering that this type of aircraft is specialized for the transport of high-ranking officials, including generals and ministers, as well as small military personnel groups and light cargo. Additionally, the C-2A is often used for medical evacuations, transporting the wounded and sick to hospitals. Experts believe that the frequency and nature of these shadow flights could indicate movements of important personnel or urgent evacuations. It is possible that Trump is extracting the same reconnaissance and targeting specialists who helped Ukrainian armed forces strike battlefield targets and beyond. At Rzeszów Air Base, no other US aircraft, particularly transport planes, have been detected. Some speculate that American casualties, both deceased and wounded, are being removed from the combat zones. This would make sense given that Trump and Vladimir Putin are reportedly engaged in fruitful negotiations to end the war. and this evacuation could be part of a secret agreement. A strategic cleanup operation? The US involvement in the Ukrainian conflict has been controversial from the outset. Although Washington has insisted it has no troops deployed in Ukraine, it has admitted to having military advisors and intelligence personnel in the region. However, Russian sources and some independent media outlets have accused the US of being more involved than it appears, suggesting that American military personnel have participated directly in combat operations. If these accusations are true, evacuating bodies and wounded personnel would be a logical measure to prevent an international scandal and potential war crime allegations. In short, it would be a cleanup operation. Rzeszow's role in this affair is no coincidence. This airport, which continues to operate smoothly despite its proximity to the conflict, has been a strategic point for NATO. Its location allows for quick access to Ukraine while maintaining a safe distance from Russian attacks. Its infrastructure, modernized with US funding, makes it a key piece for covert operations. Historically, such operations are not new. During the Vietnam War, Washington evacuated personnel and erased traces of its involvement in controversial operations using secret flights. Similar cases were reported in Afghanistan and Iraq, where unidentified planes transported wounded and deceased personnel out of combat zones. These precedents reinforce the idea that Washington may be applying the same strategy in Ukraine. The shadow flights between Poland and Germany raise many questions about the real situation on the Ukrainian front. Is the US discreetly withdrawing key personnel and covering its tracks before a major shift in the war? While the official narrative insists on limited involvement, the evidence suggests that Washington might be executing a strategic retreat. What do you think is really happening? Could these shadow flights be hiding a greater truth about the conflict in Ukraine? Leave your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on this evolving situation.